I need you to ask yourself this question. Is it really them or is it the thought of them? Is it the idea that you've created in your mind? Is it the thing that you've seen a future with? Is it the path that you've thought that was going to work and was going to happen and didn't happen? Is it the fact that you couldn't overcome this or the fact that it just didn't happen? I think sometimes we get more caught up with the idea of people than the reality of people. We get more caught up with what we want them to be or what we saw they could be or what our hearts desire in that moment and not in what's actually in front of us, not in the thing that we're actually dealing with. And I've had so many conversations with so many people when they talk about heartbreak and dealing with heartbreak and things that they're going through, that it seems like there's a cycle of us just consistently making ourselves little so that other people can feel comfortable around us. And there's so many factors to this, right? We're going to look at the scope of relationships and dating and romantic relationships, but to be honest, this fits with everything, even if in work environment or friendships or family members. It fits in all these things because sometimes we envision things with certain people and they let us down. And what happens in that moment, now you have to come to terms or to realization that the thing that you envisioned and imagined wasn't a thing, that it didn't actually exist. And healing through this is a process. It's something that's going to take time and actual effort. But I want to point out a couple points here that a lot of us seem to miss or gloss over for some reason, especially when it comes to this topic, because this is such a painful one. And I know it hurts, and the thought of walking away from something that you needed to walk away from is hurting. It's painful. There's a thought that you never thought you had to do, but there's a reality that if you stay in the place that hurt you, if you remain in the home of the wound, you will continue to feed the wound and not the healing. You'll continue to stay in the thing that's killing you and not in the thing that's serving you, because we think that if we remain in this place that we don't have to actually confront it. We've created this psychosomatic reality where we're living in something that isn't true, that isn't actually present to us, because we think that it's feeding us by remaining there, and it's not. It's actually killing you. The reason that a lot of us don't heal is because we're afraid to address what hurt us. We're afraid to go towards the thing and allow it to actually feel the pain and be painful and let it go. But we have to have this reality. Is it them or is it the emotion that I'm chasing? Is it the thought of what could have been? Is it the possibility of what could have been, or the reality of what is? So diving into this reality is first thing we need to realize is that we need to heal. It's healing something in us. That's the first factor of all this, because a lot of times we create attachments to people because they mimic something that our nervous system was used to. So the reason that people struggle with relationships is because they keep dating the same person and different people. They're trying to date the person they couldn't save. They're trying to go for the person that has all the toxicity that they're accustomed to, because they think that the relationship where it was fiery and exciting and narcissistic at that point is the reality of that relationship. They think that everyone else should fit or should look that way, not realizing that they're just looking for things that it's going to bring their nervous system to the same level of toxicity they were used to. Why? Because it takes phases of you realizing healthy does not mean over exciting or over fiery. I learned that phrase, slow burn, right? That healthy relationships have this dynamic where it's freeing, but it's not overbearing. It's not in a sense where you have to feel super toxic or super anxious or you have to feel butterflies always to know that this person is for you. Unfortunately, there's something in us that we need to heal, and this can be attached to so many people, right? Not just romantic relationships, but like parent wounds, right? Sometimes we're looking for attention from a parental figure, and we think that the people we date should mimic the attention that we were searching. Why? Because we've become accustomed to it. But you need to sit down and really think about this. Is what I'm looking for healthy? Like, do I need to heal something in me before I dive into something else? Is there something that is not allowing me to have healthy relationships with people? Because I think that it needs to look a certain way, or it needs to be a certain way. Am I looking for excitement over patience? Am I looking for all these extra things that just don't fit in the reality of a healthy relationship? So there's things in us that we need to heal before we continue to look for people, before we continue to put ourselves out there, because what's going to happen is that you're only going to get hurt. You're going to be looking for the same person in a different body and wondering why no one's good, because you're looking for that same one. You couldn't save that person, so you think that finding a person similar to that is going to bring that part of your life together. It won't. Until you heal those attachments in you, until you heal that type of person that you consistently fall into, you will consistently find them in different people. Healing something in us is going to be the first thing we need to do before any of that, before we continue to look for the person and not the thought of them or the emotion and not been driven by it. And then we need to come to this next realization that sometimes it's the thought we made up of the person and not the reality that they're in. It's the idea that's in our mind that what they look like, or what they are, or what we think they pretend to be, but not the reality of what they're showing us they are. We tend to break our own hearts because we look for people to be things that they're showing us that they don't want to be. We look for people to be in positions that they're showing us that they don't desire to be. And in our mind, we envision the thought of it. We think, well, if I try harder, if I do more, they'll realize one day how good I am. And that happens, that's what they're going to change. That's what they're going to choose me. That's what they're going to say, finally, I get it. I understand who you are. I need you to realize that you need to break up with that thought. Like, you need to stop thinking that a person is finally going to sit here and just realize how great you are. You could be the most amazing person in the world. I need you to understand that you could be the greatest person ever. You could give every ounce of it. You could be perfect, but you won't be perfect for them because it has nothing to do with you, right? Their decisions, their attractions, their inclinations, their desires are not things that you can force or fabricate into your life. Just because you have a thought or a vision of what something could look like, it doesn't mean that you could force a person to see it. You can't force people to agree with you. What you need to realize is that sometimes you have to break up with the thought you made up in your mind. And there's a process to that, right? There's a grieving stage. There's a reality of you coming to terms that this thing is not going to happen. And the more you push, the more you're there, the longer you beg, the less value you give to yourself, right? Because if you are not willing to walk away when you were offered little, even less than that is what you're going to be offered next. You're diminishing your value by begging people to see what you see. You're diminishing your value by begging people to just give you the breadcrumbs of the bare minimum. You're diminishing your value by telling someone that it's okay to treat you like nothing because you'll remain there. Sometimes it's not the reality of what we have. Sometimes it's the thought that we've created, and at some point we have to sit down and face that thought. Is it real, or is it just my heart desire? And you won't heal from that until you face that. You need to understand this thing is not going to heal without you confronting it. Our last point there is what doesn't serve us. Because the reality is that's something we have to beg to be in, something we have to convince somebody of, something we have to consistently sit here and tell them how good we are and how good they'll have it. That's not something that deserves you. That's not something that's going to grow you. That's not something that in your life deserves any bearing or any weight. We consistently go to things and diminish ourselves in hopes that they'll accept the cheap version of us, the watered down version of us. And the rest of your life, you're going to have to sit here and be miserable because you're pretending to be something less than what you actually are. I need you to understand that a lot of times we sit here with the thought of people and ignore the reality of people because we don't want to confront that. We don't want to sit there and say, well, this actually doesn't deserve me. This thing doesn't serve me, but doesn't deserve me even less. We have to realize that until we confront these things, until we heal those wounds, until we break up with the thought of it, until we actually confront the reality of it, until we realize that they don't deserve or serve us, we'll continue to diminish us for them to be cheap with us. It's not worth watering yourself down for people to love you poorly. But this is something that won't change until you confront the reality of it. So that's the question. Is it really them, or is it the thought of them? Is it who they actually are, or who you're making them up to be?